All right, so Anders, who are you?
I'm Anders Winther and I'm Head of Quality in Sanofi Pasteur. And you?
All right, I'm Celine Schillinger. I'm Head of Quality, Innovation and Engagement for Sanofi Pasteur. And Anders, we had a discussion the other day about Deming 14 points, and you had a very interesting opinion about the fact that pharma companies, in your views, have sort of misunderstood Deming 14 points for the last 30 years and have not implemented fully what Deming tried to teach us. And what you are currently doing in Pasteur with the Big Opportunity movement, creating this corporate activism movement across the whole company to increase quality, is actually in the line of what Deming told us. So can you explain? I would like to maybe go point by point and understand from you where the pharma industry has failed to understand and to implement Deming until today, and what we are doing instead that is closer to this philosophy. All right?
Yeah, I actually think that we have applied a systems approach to Deming instead of a people approach. So let's try, as you say, to go through each of the 14 points and read them not from a systems perspective, but from a human perspective and the corporate activism approach.
All right, let's do that. So first point is create a constancy of purpose towards improvement of product and service.
Yeah, in my view, what I believe is that companies have made visions and missions into buzzwords that don't align with what people think. So what we really need is to co-create, and we need to make sure that we're working on a common purpose that also is the identity of the company.
All right. So a company vision or mission isn't enough, right?
No, it needs to be relevant.
Okay. So point number 2 says that management must awaken to the challenge, learn their responsibilities, and take on leadership for change. What do you think?
What I think is that we have a misperception or application of leadership, and we reduced it to management. We are managing our processes, we are managing our people, but where we really need to start is how are we as leaders, and what is the change I need to do to make the change that should happen in the organization.
You mean change is not just for the others?
No.
Okay. Point number 3 says we must cease dependence on inspection to achieve quality. Is that the case?
Yeah, to a very large extent from a systems perspective. We have now quality by design, and we're doing much better of designing quality into our processes. But we still depend on batch release, and maybe we should have a look at that.
All right. Point number 4 says we should end the practice of awarding business on the basis of price tag. Price is important.
Yeah, it's really important, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we create a win-win situation. We need to see our suppliers as partners and not trying to create a win-lose situation, because nobody will win at the end from that.
Okay, let me call the finance department. Okay, point number 5 says improve constantly. I mean, it's longer than that. We've reduced it a little bit, but improve constantly to improve quality and productivity, and thus constantly decrease costs. What do you think about that?
I think we have reduced operational excellence to an exercise in applying equations and a cost focus instead of the quality focus. If we start with quality, we will reduce cost. If we start with cost, we will not, in longer term, reduce cost.
Yeah. Point number 6, institute training on the job. Isn't it done yet?
We do a lot of e-learning, we do a lot of one-way communication and so on. What we really learn on the job is the peer-to-peer coaching, it's the shop floor management, it's being out there, it's lessons learned, it's all of those things. That's where we learn on the job.
All right. Point number 7 says institute leadership, and it adds the aim of supervision should be to help people do a better job, so not controlling them.
Well, but because leadership has been reduced to management, you lead by controlling people. Then it's a matter of control and trust. We need to get into trusting people, and they will deliver much better results than when we do now, where we have reduced it all to control.
drive out fear so that everyone may work effectively for the company. That's a good one.
Yeah, blame or finger pointing is happening many places. What we really need to start doing is to have an environment where people can speak up, and when we call it human errors, call it learning events, and in general allow these things to happen much more than they are today.
Reminds me of the story when we had a problem and two people came to the leader with a solution, and the leader actually yelled at them for not coming earlier.
Yeah, no, that's not a good practice.
Break down, that's point number 9, break down barriers between departments. People in research, design, sales, and production must work as a team.
Yeah, what we really want to do in this is to break down the silos, connect everywhere, and it hasn't to be controlled by the leaders. Where there's a natural tendency to connect, we should connect. There was no social media 30 years ago. If there had been, I think Deming would have said, use social media and connect everywhere. We want to connect the system to more of itself.
Hashtag Deming. Point number 10, eliminate slogans, exhortations, and targets for the workforce asking for the 0 defects.
Yeah, we're so focused on red and green metrics and all of that, and we've kind of forgotten that what we need to do is to have people wanting to do changes and so on. It's a pull effect, so change takes place in the real work. That's what it is.
Yeah, especially if people want it.
Yeah,
instead
exactly,
of if they have to do it, right? Remove barriers to pride of workmanship. I love this word.
Yeah, that's right. So one of the things that we talk a lot about is in the work that we're doing now in Sanofi Pasteur with changing the way we work, is to speak not only to the head but also to the heart, and make sure that people really feel that this is something that they can be proud of what they're doing, because working in our business with vaccines, it can be much better than that. So make sure that the pride is there.
Yeah, motivational dignity. There was a piece a few years ago about that. It's a great wording. Point number 12, abolish. I mean, it's a bit broader than that also, but we take a piece, the significant piece of it, which says abolish the annual merit rating and management by objective. Ooh, that's big.
So don't get me started. We have this tendency that we think because we have reduced humans to machines, and we want to fit them into an equation, we also want to fit everybody into a box, a 9-box usually, the how and the what and all that. But you can't rank people up against each other. You can't stack order performance. Everyone does great job and everyone can do better. And that's what matters. It's not about whether I today work with you or I work with somebody else. I can do better, and that's what we as leaders need to work on.
So we've been wrong, huh? Point number 13, institute a vigorous program of education and self-improvement.
Yeah, learning is lifelong. You can always learn, you can always be better at doing things. It's motivating, and we just need to take that serious and spend the time and use more modern learning techniques.
And the last of Deming's 14 points is also very, very powerful. The transformation is everybody's job.
And that's exactly right. If it's not the entire organization, so every one of us, it's not really going to work. We're not going to get to sustainable quality. So it's not only the top leader's job or some consultant coming in from a company. It's every one of us. Every one of us is a leader if we take on that we own quality and we do things for the better of the company towards the common purpose.
So do you believe that your movement in Sanofi Pasteur, our movement, is actually meeting what Deming had in mind 30 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's exciting. Deming saw this 30 years ago, but we have reduced ourselves to equations and boxes and all of that instead of putting the human in the center. The human in the center is where we start. And then we need to read Deming again and learn.
Great. Let's have a conversation with the Deming Institute and Deming fans. Thank you.